Hey, what's up guys, Sean52 back in today with another reaction to TOARU, this time with Railgun T episode 1. Really excited for today's episode, finally getting to Railgun T. Been very hyped to get into the series as the highest rated of the whole Index Railgun series, I think. And heard a lot of really awesome things, and seen a few spoilers here and there. Try to keep away from it, mostly like YouTube videos coming up, but again, really excited for today's video. I'll just be going over quickly the Gigguk video before I watch the first episode, so I'll leave some timestamps if you want to skip my reaction to the Gigguk video and just hop right into episode 1 of Railgun T. But if you guys do like this video, please leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel, and leave some comments with your thoughts on both videos down below. And yeah, let's just get right into it. Okay, so let's get into the video.
Because here's my opinion, I don't get it. It's not bad, it's just really mediocre, and that's my opinion on Index. This was me, literally a month ago, reacting to the new Index Season 3 trailer as I was streaming.
That was before Season 3.
Chart. See, the whole Index, Railgun, TOARU, whatever you want to call it, franchise has always been somewhat of a mystery for me. From my perspective, it always looked like your typical generic high school fantasy action light novel that has been done a million different times nowadays, and any attempts to watch the anime did nothing to prove me otherwise. Yet it's a franchise that had one of those fan bases that would praise it to high heavens. You know, one of those rabid fan bases that seems nigh on obsessed with a franchise and would take any opportunity they had to spread the word of the holy gospel like they were recruiting for a new religious cult or something. So after 7 years of silence before a new season getting announced seemingly out of nowhere, I said, you know what? Fuck it. I'm going to try to get to the bottom of why this franchise is so beloved by so many, despite, by my accounts, it looking like a dated mid-2000s generic light novel franchise that time should have left behind. And through that journey, I decided...
Well, that's maybe a point of maybe why I like it. I really like the 2000s to like maybe 2010 style like animation styles, and just kind of old school animation style, nothing like too crazy. A lot of like the new graphics and stuff I don't actually like as much, they look a bit too clean, so it's probably a reason why I kind of akin to the series a little bit.
Discovered a unique world that blends fantasy and science in a way I'd never seen before. A grand narrative that fits the bill.
Same. Never seen a show that goes this in depth with the science and then adds this magic to that, which is just praises it up a bit more.
I knew it, something happened. I became a fan. Index has become my newest obsession, and sometimes there's nothing quite like the feeling of completely losing yourself in the franchise.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I've been watching it every day, and definitely got more and more into it. Really awesome universe.
Background, and you do it because the deeper you go, the more rewarding the experience becomes as a whole. This franchise was exactly that for me, so today I wanted to share some of
the more little details you find out about it, better it does get.
Many people are familiar with the franchise through its mainline anime series A Certain Magical Index, in which we mainly follow a spiky-haired protagonist, Toma Kamijo.
This is just a little overview of the series.
Picking up chicks and solving literally every problem by punching it in the face.
Yeah.
But arguably equally as popular is its spin-off series A Certain Scientific Railgun, which focuses on the adventures of Mikoto Misaka, a powerful esper with the ability to control electricity, shrug off teleporting lesbians, and is basically Pikachu of a anime girl.
Pretty much is.
It may be hard to see the appeal of Index because that's what it looks like from the outside, and to say the franchise is a bit daunting is kind of an understatement at this point. But from my personal experience...
Yeah, another point there, so it is a little bit daunting in the fact that not the smartest guy, don't know, I was never really good at science and stuff, so picking it up for me was actually reasonably difficult, and following some of the episodes along reasonably difficult. Obviously it got a lot easier with more of you guys joining and adding in the comments and such, helping me out, but in general there were some parts you just watch the story and then something very scientific would be an integral part of that story, and I wouldn't understand it in a sense, but I know a lot of other people would, but that was just a kind of drawback of mine.
With your usual trashy power fantasy stuff. And while this is technically what happens, it's not an accurate representation of the franchise at all. Despite its name, Index is not actually about Index, the lolly nun character, nor is it really about Toma, despite him getting most of the screen time. A better way to describe this series from a broader perspective is that it's like a shared universe, with many moving parts having more in common with things like Game of Thrones or the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Think of every story arc as a different movie in the MCU. Each arc is a self contain a story that adds a new element or
And when they interact with each other, it's absolutely awesome. When the stories start intertwining.
And occasionally you get bigger crossover events that involve every party, where you get to see the normally separate casts and elements come together. Because of this structure, you can have multiple storylines running in parallel, and sometimes you get to see the same events happen but from different characters' perspectives. And while not every story arc is essential to follow along with the grander narrative, they all add something to the canon of this shared universe. So while all the different series stretched across multiple mediums may look confusing and daunting, what it really means is that there are multiple ways to get into this franchise. You can start with Index, or you can even start with Railgun if you so please. You can read the light novels for some arc, then switch to the manga, then switch to the anime, or vice versa. It doesn't really matter how you choose to consume it, because the universe that you'll take place in stays coherent. The only difference is that the light novels may go more in depth in the intricacies of the world and their systems. This is why I hazard to call Railgun a spin-off, because while technically the events aren't as important to the main narrative in the same way that, for example, Black Panther doesn't move forward the grander Infinity Stones plotline of the MCU, it's a great story and serves to give the viewer a better understanding of the characters and why they act the way
That's very true. Definitely got some of my favourite characters from the Railgun series, just because they expand so in depth on some of the characters. If you think about it, they got 48 episodes, and the whole Index series is like 70 episodes, so
Index fitted this bill with a simple portrayal of fucking bad CG wind turbines everywhere. Because of the amount of strange
wind turbines
revolving around this city, the series can take many forms and genres depending on the arc and character we're following. Sometimes it's a dark sci-fi involving horrific human experimentation. Sometimes it's a fantasy action exploring secret underground organizations. Sometimes it's a fluffy high school slice of life, and sometimes it's all of those things. Admittedly, I found the story arcs that focus on science far
so many different genres.
Ones that focused on magic, but what made it all worth sticking through was when you were able to see all the various characters and plot lines converge. Some of my favourite moments were actually just seeing different characters from the various story arcs meeting for the first time and interacting with each other.
Yeah, I will say on that, just like the little, just the, I'm not sure what to call them really, I would call them, like little pop-ups, but just when you see like characters in the background and such, and just, I don't know, just like snippets of the characters interacting, that always got me really hyped, especially during like the midpoint where we had Accelerator and Toma had the fight already, and then they were kind of, during this exact scene I paused it on really, I done a switcheroo, and yeah, just the character interactions were so interesting, like how's this Esper going to react to magic that he's never seen before and such. But yeah, I would say the world definitely gives the characters a whole nother dimension where they're kind of trying to learn about it as well, and they're meeting these kind of new people. But that's one aspect I definitely really love about the series.
Any sort of scientific means and reasoning. So instead, the basis of magic in the Index universe comes from real-life mythology and lore you can find historically. From Christianity to Judaism to Norse and Egyptian mythology to Feng Shui, it all finds its roots through stories told through world history and religion. To give an example, someone like Jesus in the Index universe would have been a magic user. However, to me, the standout power system comes from the science side of things, and that's what I want to
Yeah, I agree with that. I think the Espers are just so interesting. And how many variations of abilities there are as well, however slight they are.
Masters in electronic and electrical engineering.
So he's got a master's and he doesn't even really understand it that well.
Let's take Misaka for example. In concept, her ability is pretty simple. She can control electricity. Nothing new here in the world of anime powers, but it's not so much the ability itself, but more so the logic behind its application. At the simplest level, she can shock people, but thanks to my masters in electronic and electrical engineering, I know that electricity has more applications than just this, and so does she. Because if she can generate an electric current, that means she can generate a magnetic force. Something you'd know if you learned the right-hand rule, which is what I did in my masters in electronic and electrical. Okay, I'll stop this now. Thanks to being able to create
I was going to say, that's got a bit too much Gigguk.
control debris, manipulate iron sands, and vibrate it at a fast enough frequency to make it a buzzsaw. Let's go even further. What else can you do with a combination of magnetic and electrical force? Well, you get something called a Lorentz force. And what can you do with a Lorentz force? Well, you can make a fucking railgun, which is a real-life weapon our modern military has been developing, and if you couldn't guess, that's why the series is called Railgun. The thing adds so many layers to someone's ability, and thus your combat strength doesn't necessarily come
Definitely
from raw
agree.
power, but it's also your understanding of science and physics and how best
Yeah,
to apply
it's understanding their own
This is
personal
something I
reality
found
and
incredibly
kind of in
useful.
depth with their power as well, and how their power kind of affects their personal reality.
But I think the one character that
But
really
yeah, as he says,
just how innovative these abilities can be,
just the abilities, just the detail that's like within them, give them just that extra that you get in like a normal series.
No, it's not his ability to laugh like a beatboxing hyena. Accelerator's ability is vector transformation. Now, for those of you who didn't pay attention in maths and physics in school, a vector is any quantity that has a magnitude and direction. And what this is... I'm literally explaining fucking vectors in a video about anime.
I understand, dude. There's a lot of stuff to understand in the series. And I ain't the smartest guy ever, so I'm pretty much an ad saying, yeah, you can get through it.
Able to control not only the direction, but also the size of that attack, redirecting it back at his opponent or anywhere that he pleases. But the application of this ability goes so far beyond that because so many things have a vector component. He can start earthquakes by tapping on the ground.
Almost everything has a vector.
He can control the wind. He can manipulate blood flow. He can accelerate any object just by poking at it. If something has a direction, he can control it. And what you can do with this is only restricted by your knowledge of vectors. Now, I'm sure you're thinking such an ability sounds ridiculously overpowered, because it is. So the limitations the author has given around this ability...
Yeah, that's the thing. They handled that really nicely as well. Kind of downgrading his ability right off the bat.
But his limitations come in, get this, mathematical calculations. That's right, his kryptonite is fucking algebra! Vectors can be complex mathematical concepts to calculate, and if you're going to apply these manipulations in a combat situation, you need to be able to calculate how to do it in real time. This is exactly Accelerator's limitations. He has an onboard computer to assist him with the calculations, so if there's too much data to process or the computer's battery runs out, that is his limit on what he can manipulate, and in my honest opinion, that's fucking genius, because it logically makes sense if such a ridiculous ability actually existed in this world. Which means if Accelerator's ever in a bind, there's only one thing he can do.
In the face of overwhelming odds, I'm left with only one option. I'm gonna have to science the shit out of this.
Of course, understanding the theory behind these powers doesn't actually matter in the wider context, but for pretty much...
No, that's the thing, you don't even really have to understand the powers, you can kind of just grasp them slightly, and then if you want to look deep into them, you can.
Alright, how many people have I lost with that last segment? Just how goddamn hard it tries to put new people off from getting into it. Remember when I said I was put off by how generic and boring the beginning arc seemed to be? Well, that still holds true and can still...
Yeah, I'd say the first arc is definitely a little bit slow, but I've looked back at it quite fondly now.
Trashy harem bait high school fantasy light novel adaptations hadn't already oversaturated the industry. And
that's probably why, because I haven't seen too many light novel adaptations, I don't think.
Not aged well. Early Index embodies almost all of the overused tropes, character archetypes and cliches we have gotten bored of since its initial release, and it ends up coming across as a run-of-the-mill shonen action show. Considering how much of it revolves around Toma, he's just not a very interesting character and only gets development further down in the light novel. Not only that, but his ability to cancel out other abilities is just so fucking boring compared to everything else I've talked about in the franchise's power systems. It's not bad per se.
I don't know, I feel like when he reset his memory, that was quite a big character building for Toma.
You could easily power through it and quickly get to the good stuff, and while there are definitely some highs I'm going to touch upon, there is a lot of bullshit.
Well, I said character building, it was almost like a character reset, but that build up is kind of new personality almost. Although he had the same personality as before, but...
But this is exactly why there's no such thing as a casual fan of the franchise. Only those who've been willing to trudge through all the mediocrity are rewarded with everything the world can offer, and if you're willing to do
definitely, I feel like if I would have quit like halfway through, we would have hated the series, but managed to finish it, and absolutely love the series.
Season 1 was mostly world building, and Season 2 was a lot of build up to a climax that was only just teased at by the end. Those who have stuck with it are finally getting to see a lot of the payoff that is being adapted in Season 3. Then I watched the anime Railgun S, which is basically what sold me on the franchise.
Yeah, I think that's probably what sold me on the franchise as well. Well, Railgun and Railgun S, but definitely Railgun S.
While being able to quickly go to one of the early highlights that not only ties in a lot of the main
and Index too.
It's also a great fucking standalone story in its own right, right in its best adaptation in Railgun S. Like I said, you can get into the franchise however you want. This is just my method because I'm an impatient prick. Also, this might be a good time to mention that all the light novels and manga are available via Bookwalker if you want to try this method out. Hashtag coupon code Gigguk for $5 off. This is no doubt a very daunting and quite frankly hard franchise to get into and will definitely not be for everyone. But getting
Yeah, I can definitely see it's not for everyone.
has given me a completely unique experience in the 15 or so years I've been an anime fan, and that is not an easy feat to do anymore. If this seems like something way too heavy to get into, that's completely understandable. If you just want something more quick and casual, there are many other shows you can get into. But if the specific aspects I just talked about sound exactly like something you would appreciate and you just want to lose yourself in a franchise, fucking do it, man. Become one of us. Because I can see why this franchise joins the ranks of things like JoJo's, Monogatari, and Fate.
Oh, definitely. Just the amount you can look into it from a fan perspective.
Because there really is nothing else like it.
Yeah, I agree. From what I've seen so far, anyway. I've never seen an anime like this.
Hey guys, I hope you enjoyed me essentially just gushing over Index for almost 20 minutes. I do want to give a quick shout out to Bookwalker right now, who has the Index light novels.
Stop it there. Yeah, I agree with a lot of the points he made there. As he said, definitely not a series everyone can get into. Some people will find it easier to get into from the start than others as well, but I feel like, as he says, when you do get to that Index 2 Railgun S mark, that is where the series very much picks up in the good stories. Of course, it's got good characters throughout, and those good characters in that almost perfect setting for them and perfect power system for them to dynamically interact with each other is just amazing. I absolutely love the series. So let's just hop right into Railgun T. Let's go. Solid story. Yeah, I caught up a little bit. Watched my reactions back to episode 7 and 8 just for a little bit of preparation. So this will take place during the just after Kuroko got put in a wheelchair and the Daihai Sai festival happened, I think. Young little Esper. Another one. Isaka helping out. Nice. No, she's gone. Shorts wearing lady. There could be 8. This time there isn't. Can't remember that. Steering committee. Been a long time since we've seen Ryuko. Satensa. Polka dots. Mikoto. They're going to see Kuroko in, I say jail again now. My fascinations with jails in possible. Of course. I haven't seen Kuroko in a long while as well. She was my favourite character. Favourite character is now Accelerator. Ah, wow. There's a representative from Russia. Pretty obvious. Hard worker. Yeah. Even harder. It's in history for a long while as well. Ah, right. Shuko Misaki. Yo. Fifth round. Mental out. Fuck's sake. That's ridiculous, man. Everyone in view. Just a little TV controller. Yeah, just for a little diss. She hates you. It's probably because you're 2 places higher than her. They called Magino for that. Hey, his friend Damn. Cacking. You got called about it as well. He went that crazy. Oh no. Second rank Dark Man. Accelerator got a little called as well. Oh, you want to stop talking? Oh my god. That's the feeling that run into old accelerator. You didn't take no prisoners. The 6th ranked. It was the 6th rank. Aida Etsu. I saw one of you guys asking about that name in the comments. Yeah. Damn, that was a fierce fucking rock, paper, scissors. Yeah. Dry runs. There's a fight. What's going on now? Jeez. Wow. I do could make a gust of wind. Yeah. Although I guess the strong one is a bit better. A bit of wind. Crease. Oh, no way. Did it even move? This is the guy I've seen in the YouTube videos, bro. I haven't watched them, but on the thumbnails, I think. Sono Claudius. Sogi Dagunha. 7th rank. Look at this guy's ability is. Sugoi. Sugoi punch. Oh crap. Jesus. Sorry, I'm a little bit old today, guys. Oh yeah. It can move in mid-air as well. It can jump on air. This guy's 7 ranked. You guys need to get moving. Jeez. Sugoi. The railgun. Mate, these intros for the espers are actually sick. Wow. That's interesting. You pulled up such a badass move. You forgot the cake. What does that sound exactly like, Night Leader? That isn't him. Oh wow. What's to learn about the sisters? That's unfortunate. It looks pretty delicious. Wow. What the hell were you doing with those? You wouldn't know what she was doing with those. These two are the ones they're using. I've got a pretty horrible feeling about that girl. Classic, man. It's just the end of the OP. I think this is the OP, isn't it? I think I reacted to this. Ah, it's got like an organisation or something. Kiara. Oh no. I don't know if I have reacted to this. I think I have actually. Thelma. Damn, this OP is actually sick. Nice. Oh, I've got to stop it. So thanks for watching the video, guys. Really awesome first episode there. Probably my favourite kind of first episode of any of the series. Today, I just kind of know that this series is going to be brilliant from here. Obviously, I've heard quite a bit about it as well, but just from this first episode, a lot shown in that open, and that's making me very hype. That first episode as well, just the introduction for the Espers and the new guy. I can't quite remember his name, but Sugoi Punch. That's the thumbnail. But yeah, really awesome. Obviously, we got the level 5, ranked 5, kind of taken a more than a dislike to Misaka Mikoto, so things are going to get pretty dark this season. Look like Kihara is also involved, the older Kihara, and she's kind of in his sight, so all very interesting. Again, if you also just before I end it off, really enjoyed seeing Ryuko, Kuriko, and Ueharu, all three really awesome characters. Haven't seen them in a long while. Got that classic kind of humour that the Railgun S and Railgun series had, which I found really hilarious. Obviously, Kuriko was my favourite character for a long while, until Accelerator kind of had his upcoming. But again, if you guys do like the video, please leave a like down below and subscribe to the channel, and leave some comments with your thoughts on the episode down below. Again, thank you guys for watching, and have a good rest of your day.